Live streaming is on.
Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. If you are watching this as a replay, I want you to know I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at around 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make a note of this so you can watch and be part of the live stream. Now, here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you have done in your shop lately. Now, to join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you are not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address, or Sparky, the proprietor of Stunthangar, will not approve you. Now, if you are inclined to not come in and just want to enjoy watching us on YouTube, please enter your questions and comments in the chat box, and I'll do my best to make your comments a part of the show. Now, if you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please like, subscribe, and share the videos. That helps the channel grow. Please consider joining our YouTube channel memberships, which start at $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. Now, your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunthangar, and with your membership, you get special badges on the YouTube chat. You also have access to unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. Now, you can use the super chat, which is located at the bottom of the chat box. I believe this is only during a live broadcast, to help support the show by making donations. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. Please keep your conversations family room friendly, and in other words, please don't use words you wouldn't say around your children or your grandchildren. And without further ado, I'm going to post the link at Stunthangar. I'm going to do that. I'm turning my attention to a different monitor. Post. Okay, so that's on its way. And let me check the live chat. And looks like we have no one there yet, but hopefully we'll have someone there. I don't know why this is muted. Children or okay. And without further ado, I'm going to post the link. Okay. I'm turning my attention to a different monitor. Let me see here. So that's for some reason I can't hear myself here. Okay. Anyways, let me see what happens tonight. You know, YouTube or 8x8, they've been making some changes without my permission, of course. And so lately I've been having some surprises. And I hope that everything goes okay without a hitch tonight. Let me see on Stunthangar to make sure that it is posted there all right. Let's see here at the bench. Just doing some housekeeping here. And let me check I'm here at the bench here on Stunthangar. Yes, I see the link there, so that's looking good. And we have 2 viewers. Thank you very much. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share the videos. And the super chats are very helpful. And no one's in the chat yet. So, anyways, I hope that we can surpass what we did last Friday, being the very first broadcast of the new year, which was very exciting. According to Steve Hines, that was our best show of the year, and so I'm hoping that we can top that. And I don't understand why I can't hear my mic. I don't understand what's going on. Let me see what's going on in 8x8. That's the live stream. This is 8x8. And let's see here. Oh, I heard that. Hey, Phil.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. I don't know what's going on with these platforms. There's a little bit of a difference lately. Hey,
Yeah.
Peter, how's it going?
Senor Peter has arrived.
Okay.
So I guess everything worked fine. I posted everything right, and everything's
It
a
came
okay.
right up. It was easy this time.
Awesome. Yeah, last time. See, what I do is in 8x8, there's an invite uh, button I press, and then
Uh-huh.
it manufactures a an invitation link,
Mm-hmm.
and I post that at Stunthangar underneath at the bench. Usually, it's just pretty much copy and paste, and don't worry about it. And so I do that every time we do this. And then last time I did the same thing I've been doing ever since I took over, and for some reason it wasn't the link wasn't there. So I was here Friday just going on and on and on. I got a phone call I saw later on from Sparky. He had called me to let me know what was going on, and I had someone in the chat box also informing me that things weren't going right.
Yeah, sometimes the magic works, and sometimes absolutely nothing works.
Absolutely. Hey Eddie, how you doing, Eddie?
Hey, Eddie.
Turn
Good
my
to see
mic
you,
on
man.
here. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
we
All
can
right.
hear you now.
We can hear you. So what you guys been doing? Anybody done anything revolving model airplanes or model aviation?
I have not. The last time I went to the basement even was when I went down Friday to get this paint to show y'all. I have not even been down to take it back down there yet.
I've been
It's
cleaning up back here so I could try to start patching up my toters. So that's what I'll probably do tonight.
And that's good. How about you, Peter?
Oh, me. While we're talking, I'm gonna be installing the landing gear blocks and the bell crank platform and the Saginaw wing.
Very good. Very good.
I'm glad somebody's getting something done.
Yeah, I know. I actually been working very little, but I'm making progress on this hatch that's right over the flap horn on this impact that I have, and so hopefully, the plane's already built, so I'm kind of going this after the fact, and it's painted, so I'm trying to do it as neatly as I can without making too much of a mess. But
Yeah, I've got a take apart impact, and I wish I had put one of those Paul Walker systems in it where you can tweak the flaps with just a turn of a
oh
screw.
yeah,
But I didn't know about it at the time. So
I have intentions of doing that with my next build, the Precious Balsa. I'm hoping to make do that. I'm just a little bit perplexed on how to make it. I mean, I see the end result, but as far as the process, I'm not really sure how to do that.
I got a suggestion for your Precious Balsa. Have you decided what plane you're going to modify this out of or into?
Oh, it is a Strega. It's a Strega Arc set of wing panels, and I'm making the fuselage from scratch. I'm using some of the parts from a Strega kit, and I've already pretty much have the fuselage. I don't know. It's pretty much. I got to just put the top and bottom block on, and make a fuel tank for it. Make a cowl for it.
Yeah. Well, I've still got most of that to do to my Turbo Raven. I've got the wing made now, and all of those big wing tips made, and those things are huge. And the flaps, I just cut something like 5 or 6 inches, I can't remember, off each one of the Strega flaps, because the Strega flaps are, I mean, they're huge.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
just plain huge. But on the Turbo Raven, think about the size it is at the root all the way out, because there's no taper to a Turbo Raven. So they're that big. So I said, that's, Wendy was always known for his flaps being too big and causing problems. So I said, well, okay, I'll just shorten them a little bit. So I just knocked 5 or 6 inches off each end, and to the second rib end, that's probably 4.5 or 5 inches. But anyway, knocked in 2 bays right up to the end of the rib, and used that. Actually, I wanted to use it to keep that wingtip on, because that wingtip, I'll bring the wing up and show it to y'all one night. It's those tips hang back about 3-4 inches,
Wow.
and it's huge. Trying to make it look halfway scale, it's huge. So
Y'all,
that's the one plane. I got to find an 81 to put on that one, because that thing's just too darn big for a 60.
y'all
That
talking
is
about the flaps. Back when we first started flying, I first started flying as a kid. Uh, Dad built a Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
It's out in the shed right now, but it's got the half flaps.
Mm-hmm.
What's y'all's opinion on say that 5 times fast? Half flaps versus full flaps.
If the plane is overweight, if you built a plane and you're flying it, and you realize the plane's a little overweight and the flaps don't seem to work enough, it sounds ridiculous. But cut a third of them off and make them fixed flaps, and then let the inner 2/3 work. And what happens? You're trying to turn too much airplane. You're trying to turn too much, and you're just stalling your handles. What you're doing. So you cut the flaps down, and then they can work freer, and the plane starts turning like it's not such a heavy model.
I mean,
But I
this
had
one
a
flies good. It's got a McCoy 29 on it, and it flies good. But it's just, I see everybody's now, pretty much now, all the modern planes now all have full flaps on them, minus the, couple of inches on the tips. But that Peacemaker is only got, I mean, half the wing is flaps.
No,
So I just didn't know. I mean, it flies okay. I mean, I just didn't know what y'all's opinion was on it.
Well,
I guess if it works, it works, huh?
If it works, it works. I'm getting ready to build a Peacemaker, and I'm not going to modify the flaps. I'm going to build them just like you're talking about, just like the plans, because the plane just flew too well. But I'm only going to put a 25 in mine. Everybody says, "Oh no, it needs a Fox 35." I said, "Yeah, that's what you said about my Barnstormer and several other planes I built, including the one I'm working on now, the Humbug. But a 25, anywhere you can put a Fox 35, you can put an OS 25S, or if you can find an SF, even better.
Yeah.
It'll pull it as well or better than the Fox.
Well, all we had back then, all we had was a McCoy Redhead 29.
Yeah, well, I ain't saying it's going to have the run characteristics of a Fox, because it won't, but it'll pull it just as well as a Fox. But I've got, that being said, I've got a half dozen McCoy Redheads downstairs.
Yeah,
I love them. That was one of my favorite motors.
Imagine right there, it's a 1957 35 Redhead on Daddy's Cosmic Wind, and that's the flyingest son of a bitch I've ever seen.
There's on McCoys. The reason I got into using McCoys, when I was a kid, I'd go to George's Hobby Shop in downtown Winston-Salem. A McCoy was $12.95.
Mm-hmm.
A Fox was $13.95, and an OS Max was $14.95. $2 difference in those 3 engines. And I'd buy the McCoy because I couldn't afford the other $2. It seemed like a lot of money to me. And now I wish I'd bought all the Maxes, but another story.
The only thing about that Peacemaker that I don't like is it was a kit, and it seems like the landing gear is too flimsy, and it wants to do the splits every time you land.
No. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put now the plans we had it has 2 hooks on it, and it calls for putting the rubber band between them. Act like a shock absorber.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it and take another piece of the same size wire and make a strut go across there and just kind of go halfway up, so it'll still have a little spring in the bottom half of the landing gear, but not, because it would want to do the splits and then the prop would grab, or take off and the prop would grab or something. So
Let me make you a suggestion. I don't remember what airplane it's on. I think it's First time I saw it, I think, was on a P-40, the Black Tiger. But where your landing gear comes down like this, take a piece of wire and run it up here and attach it to the back side. Run it up behind it and then over and then back down. So you're doubling the size of the wire on the first third of the landing gear. But run this piece. If you can run it up and run it under the fuselage and back down, you'd be better. But you can just bow it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That'd work. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Is lashing, just attaching it and making
wind them together. Yeah,
make
put it on the
a
back side. Don't
make
put
a
it beside it.
strut.
You got two pieces of wire in the wind now. Put it behind.
Right. Yeah, you want them in line.
Yeah, there was a study that I got to see back when we had the Model Masters was an active club, which has been a while back. But they played a tape one night from NASA, and it showed a 1/8 piece of wire out in the wind that was just a piece of wire. And then they showed a 1/2-inch piece that was airfoiled.
Yeah.
And the resistance was the same.
Yeah.
The same. So unless you're going to
it's no different than putting a fishing rod down in the water when you're moving in the boat. It's going to be okay. Yeah. The periscopes we worked on, and when I worked on in the Navy, they had fairings around them. It's just a big fiberglass wing that cut through the water, because if you didn't have that, if they raised the periscope too soon and didn't raise the fairing with it, it would bend that periscope, because they're traveling at 20 miles an hour or whatever. Periscope speed, and they'll raise that periscope too quick, it bends. Well, guess what? It don't go back down. Same thing with that.
I know something about him now I didn't know before. He's crazy. He was in one of them tin cans underwater. No way.
I wasn't. I worked on them. I was not a submariner. I just worked on. I was an optical man. I worked on the periscopes.
Okay.
I just went down and got the shit ready to yank out of there. I didn't go under the water. I like fresh air too much.
Tell you a quick story, a very quick story that is very true. I did not know that I was claustrophobic. And my wife got me on vacation one year to go down in a submarine. And it was absolutely gorgeous while we were underwater. I loved it, just looking at the bottom of the ocean. And as long as I was looking around at everything, I was fine. But then we started coming up, and it's just over sand. And I was about to go out. I was about to, you open that door, or I'll open that door. I'm coming out of this tin can. I didn't realize we're only 8 feet deep.
Yeah.
But still, it scared the bejeebers out of me. That's the first time I ever realized I was scared of closed-in spaces.
You think that's bad? The Trident submarines, they go out for 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
They're out 6 months. I got 2 crews. Out 6 months, in 6 months. But anyway, that's what I was getting at. The wind resistance on those wires do the same thing as the water resistance on that. So if you put that fairing around it, it works. I guess it's the same thing with wheel pants.
Oh, it is.
If you just got your wheel hanging down there, it's going to create drag. You think all those wheel pants are just big, bulky things. Well, it's actually a wing around your tires, and it cuts through the air. But
I'll tell you another quick one. Tom Looper built a plane called it's the Grumman Hellcat, and a Hellcat had a gear that folded back and turned as it went back. Well, he built a profile of this thing, and he put the landing gear, real looking landing gear on it. Well, the very front of the wing, as the wing goes out, where the landing gear comes up, there's a flat panel on this thing. It's on the real airplane, it's about 3 feet long by about, 14 inches wide, maybe. Maybe not quite that wide, but anyway, it acts like an air brake to help land the thing, slow the darn thing down to land it. Well, we never thought about it, so he put it on his model, and I didn't think to tell him not to do it. We put the thing on there, and he took out and flew the airplane. Good afternoon, sir. Good to see you again.
Hey, Bill.
Hi.
Hey, Bill. Anyway, the plane flew. He said it kept feeling like it had down in it all the time. It just had drag on it, just couldn't figure. And it would not glide. Now, keep in mind, these things are only maybe 2 inches long by 1/2 inch wide, maybe. They weren't that big. So he came to the field one day, and he said the plane was flying remarkably better. What'd you do? He said, I took them darn landing gear fairings off. They weren't that big, but
Wow,
he said it
amazing.
made an awful difference in the airplane. And another one of our fellows that flew a Strega that looked like he put the P-51 looking scoop up underneath it. And one day at a contest, he just had tape on the bottom of his airplane. The scoop was gone. I said, "What have you done?" And Larry Drone's nephew, Kent Tyser, he won the Nationals Advanced title with that airplane. And he had cut that scoop off, and he said it flies so much better without that resistance down there.
Wow.
Well, Al Raby built a Mustang, and he had the scoop on it, and his planes flew great.
Was Al's the one that called Snaggletooth?
Yes.
I've seen the video of him fly that thing, man. It flew awesome.
Yeah.
I launched that plane for him at the 1977 team trials. And I thought I was big dog because Al Rabe let me handle his airplane. But I'm telling you what, Al could fly that airplane.
Yeah.
He could fly that airplane. Al Raby was he was a master of molding. He was molding before anybody else was molding, and he's a master of it. But that man could absolutely outfly. He was amazing what he could do. But at that contest, 1977 team trials were held in Atlanta, which were just about the limit of what my wife and I could afford to go to just as a weekend of fun. I already knew Keith Trossel, and I'd already met a couple of the other guys. I'd already met Les McDonald, and I knew of him. He don't know me from Adam's House Cat, but I know him. I met Bob Hunt. I met Bill Werridge. I met my all-time hero, Bob Gieske, and I met Al Raby. And I went up to Al and asked him, I said, when you're through, I want to ask you about something. He said, well, let's just practice right now. What you need? I said, I want to get the plans to the Raby Bearcat, the original Bearcat. He said, the original? I said, no, the 3, the molded one. He says, do you understand how to mold that thing? I said, well, I can learn. So I didn't get the plans. He didn't send me the plans, but years later, I got in touch with him. And I said, Al, he just come out with a video on the BBQB, which is the big 4-stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Al, I still want plans to the Raby Bearcat. He sent me the plans to the Raby Bearcat, the Raby Mustang,
Wow.
the BBQB. He sent me a canopy for a BBQB. He sent me the videos, full set of videos on building the BBQB, and told me where I could order put me in touch with Tank Tankersley, which has disappeared off the face of the earth. I can't find Tank. But he laser cut me a semi kit for it. I built my Bearcat from one of Tank's semi kits. And I'm telling you what, Tank's kits are nice. Tank did a very nice job. But that built a really nice Bearcat, and Al would call me about every week, ask me how I was coming. And all the way through, I don't know why, but my main screen's black.
Well, John Miller is black, but everybody else screen is colorful.
There it went. Anyway, the man just absolutely was. It impressed me that he was interested enough to call every week and check on the progress on it. But I got a really nice airplane out of that.
Yeah. I'll be right back, fellas.
All right, Eddie.
Uh-oh.
Let me do a little housekeeping real quick.
Yeah.
Hi, Bill, again. And I want to say hi to Montana Farmer and Craig and Tom Rammel. And there's a new person here, Motaz. Welcome. Glad to see you. Please don't make it just one and done. Hopefully you come often. And so let me catch up with what they're saying. Craig is telling me he asked if I found the spinner that I was after. Yeah, I found a yellow spinner and a blue spinner off of eBay. I forgot who makes it. I think it's RC Hobbies, and it's a flush. The back plate is flush, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with those two. I found a yellow one and a blue one. I'm looking for a white one. I hope to secure that soon. And thank you, Tom. He said he hit the like button. I see that we're at 17 viewers and we have 7 likes. So thank you very much, Tom, and everybody else. Please smash that like button. It helps the channel grow, and hopefully we will get to be a point where we're recommended. People go to their home screen on YouTube, they'll see this screen, this video on the right side, and they might check it out, and then who knows, they might become um, a regular. So that's what it's about. That's why we're trying to build this channel so we can get more views and get more members and help this hobby grow that we love. So that's it. That's my home. That's my housekeeping. Hey, John.
Got 8 now. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm okay. And you guys?
Doing well.
Hanging in here. All right, I have a question. Charles, what spinner are you looking for?
Well, the plastic spinners that I have, the Dubros, and some of the other ones, they have like flashing. So the plane I was trying to put it on, that thrust washer on the engine is just right, almost even with the nose ring, and so the flashing of these Dubro spinners wouldn't work because it stick behind the thrust washer. So I wanted a plastic spinner that was just totally flush. So it fits just like a regular aluminum spinner. I wanted to be able to.
All right, let me make you a suggestion. I'm not sure what kind they are. I think they're Dubro, but I'd have to go downstairs and check. Look at the ones with a metal back. The metal back ones don't. Your spinner's doing this in flight. You don't think it is, but it is. And if you get the metal ones, they A, don't do that, and B, you can build this area back here on the plane up to where it's just a 16th or 3rd. I built mine 64th.
You're right.
On the spinner, and they don't touch. They don't flex. They don't touch. You don't have a problem with it, and they just work forever. Now they got 2 bolt holes in the front of them. They're not as pretty as the ones that go on with a nut in the front, but you know where the front of the spinner is, the nut.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get if you want to use a plastic spinner to save weight, look at the ones with a metal back plate. I think you'll be a lot happier with them because
I have those, and I don't like the shape of those. They're too pointy.
Well, I agree
Charles,
with you there.
Get hold of Randy and just get yourself a carbon fiber spinner.
Randy's got carbon fiber conicals that are really rounded. They'll look good on it. They'll look good on it. I will. And you can paint those. Sand it and paint it to match. You paint any color you want.
Yeah, I was just trying to be cheap and
well, we don't have to try that.
I am cheap, brother. I mean,
yeah, so I have some carbon fiber spinners, and not only cheap, but it's like, I gotta paint that. It's like, this is maybe on Precious Balsa, which I'm building, but I'm just trying to outfit these planes I purchased. And so I really don't, I'm not gonna get appearance points for them, and I don't care if the color is a little bit off. So just if the plane's yellow and I get a yellow, if it's the wrong hue, as long as it's light, that's kind of where my goal was. So
just do it red, Charles. Just do it red. So red and yellow works good. 10,000 in 10 million Indians can't be wrong.
That's true. Red and yellow works good. You're absolutely right. That's a good point.
Sure. He sounds just like Bob Gieske. Bob Gieske used to say, if it ain't red, it ain't right. I love that man. Yeah. He was a character. He was just one of the best. Oh.
During the after meeting, whatever it is, the party.
The after party.
Last Friday, where there was Pete and who was all there? Pete, there's you and I and Jeff. That's you, I, Jeff. And was that about it?
Pretty much.
Sinclair was there. Gary Sinclair was there too.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we got talking one thing another. We got talking about twins.
Yeah.
And I
had a very interesting conversation about twins.
Yeah. And I thought maybe I'd share it with the guys today. We get a few on there. See, I years ago, I started developing a tandem twin. Push me, pull me setup. And so I showed them the plans on the screen, but I thought you guys might enjoy it. So I printed them up. I've got 2 versions. I want to get some opinions on it because 2 versions. One of them has a low aspect ratio stab and elevator on it, and the other one has a higher aspect ratio stabbing elevator on it. So when you see them, take a look, and I'd like to get comments on that. Okay.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, comments are free. You'll get plenty of them.
You might not like them.
I might not like them.
Yes. Hey, we're up to 10 likes. Hey, thank you very much. Let's keep it going. Let's pour it on.
That comment about the comments remind me in the humor section this past couple of days. Somebody posted, I think it was Zambelli posted a bunch of humor things. That one of them was man and his wife sitting there, and she's trying on all these old clothes, and she picks this one object up, she holds it up, looks at it, she says, "Look, it's been 25 years and this still fits," you know?
Right.
Huh? And he says, "Yeah, but that's a scarf."
That's bad.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's too funny. I like that.
That's pretty good. I like that too.
Oh, I like that. Yes. Yeah, that's one thing your wife can still wear is a scarf.
Yeah, you don't want to laugh too loud if she can hear you on that one.
Still fits.
They do rule the roost.
My wife's sitting right there, so I'll be careful when I say things like that. She got
like the big question: does this make my hips look wide?
No. I'll have to tell Vicky that one. That's pretty good. Oh, Vicky, remind me. I got a joke to tell you later.
Oh, Lordy. Lady wanted bigger breast. Husband said, "You don't need to go to the doctor for that. Said just every night go in there and rub some Charmin on them, and they'll get bigger." She said, "Charmin?" He said, "Yeah, look what it's done to your butt in the last 40 years.
Okay.
Oh, that's bad. You like to live dangerously, don't you?
Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Bob, for saving us. We're going in the gutter here. Thank you very much for showing up.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Happy New Year.
Building.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year
to you, my friend.
What did I save?
Oh,
you don't want to know.
Going in the wrong direction as far as the humor.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see it out here.
And I'm going to fix that.
Well, it was just a distraction. I was just using you as a buffer.
We all know you have no humor, Bob.
No humor?
No humor.
Well,
There's Daddy's peacemaker he made.
Hey, let's check out Daddy's Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I got to redo the cowling and some of the paint's coming off. But it was a sharp looking plane in the day, but like I say, the cowling's had some damage to it and got to redo it. But what I was talking about is if you can see, here's the hooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're real
rubber bands.
They're real springy and everything, but when it lands, it wants to do the splits.
Right.
I couldn't get enough rubber bands around it to hold it. So I'm gonna do some, like you said, do a strut across there with some other
some wire,
wire. But that's it's got the half flaps on it, but
yeah, pretty cool.
He got this plane for $5 at a yard sale.
Wow.
And it's it was the first, built up body we had. Everything else is profile.
One thing it needs for sure is some hinge sealing tape.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about that. So
it'll dramatically improve the performance.
Sure will.
I tell you what, Bob, that
difference.
How do you use that? I mean, I don't even know.
Just put tape, deflect the flaps all the way, put it upside down, deflect the flaps all the way up, and just take some Scotch magic tape, or I forgot what the number is, but Scotch tape, and just put it on one surface, take a credit card, put it down into the hinge, and fold it up over the other surface. And it'll prevent the air from going through there. It'll increase your cornering dramatically. dramatically.
So you put
What
it.
I've-
So like with the flaps.
Yeah, put it upside down to deflect the flaps up.
Okay, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then take and measure between the hinges if you want, and cut a piece of tape that will go and tape it onto the actual wing, the trailing edge, push it down into the hinge gap with a credit card, and then fold it back over the flap.
You know, it looks like there's a problem there, Sitter. Look at how much flap you got and how little elevator you got compared to the flap.
Yeah, well, that'll dampen the corner too, for sure. Can you get to the elevator horn? Can you move the elevator horn where the push rod connects to it? Can you move it up closer to the stabilizer?
I don't know. I'd have to cut a hole in the fuselage.
Okay.
It'd probably be worth your time. Because there doesn't seem to have a whole lot of elevator there.
So, Bob, I got a question I want to bounce off you.
Yeah.
On a airplane with a twin boom.
That's pretty good. That looks good.
Pretty good.
That's fine.
That's all right. Never mind.
That looks fine.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Just seal up the gap.
Yeah, just fill that hole, the gap there in the.
So you're talking about putting the tape on and then run it through the hole and put it on the other side?
No, it's all going to go on one side. It's just it wants to go up into the hinge gap into the hinge line a little bit so that it can flex.
Okay. Okay, so you want to flex it
straight across. When you go to move the flap one way, it'll inhibit the movement. But if you put it up into the hinge line a little bit, it'll make like the hinge itself and flex.
So when it's like up like this right here, it's at its max, and then when it goes this way, it's tucked up in the
right.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Can you just do it on one side?
Bottom side.
Just go to the bottom. Yeah.
Just on the bottom.
Go to both sides of the wings, left and right. But
and do elevators too.
What you should do first is take the airplane out and fly it once, just like that, and then put the hinge. Then clean it all off and put the hinge sealing tape on and fly it again, and you'll be amazed at the difference.
Okay.
Amazed.
It's got a lot of what y'all call hanger rash right now, but
well,
so the paint's chipping off.
Well, you're chipping it off, Eddie.
Well, it's flaking off right now. I couldn't remember if you used.
You just helping it come off, right?
I couldn't remember if you used silk span or that cover right that you could paint, but it looks like it's silk span.
Now, is that pilot Superman or what? It looks like he has a cape or what?
No, that's his backrester. I don't know if you can see him or not. It's just a regular pilot. I don't know if he
okay.
had got it or what.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll tell you what,
the angle, I thought that was a cape, but you're right. Just a headrest.
When I was a kid, I loved this plane, but
I bet.
The only problem we had was the cowling. When the landing gear spread out, it flipped up and broke the cowling. And so I'm gonna have to remold a new cowling for it.
No big deal.
Maybe bend the landing gear forward a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna stiffen them up a little bit with that spring bar. But I can't remember I don't know how old this plane is. It's probably.
Well, that looks like it has the molded fuselage on it.
Yeah, it's the Peacemaker.
So that would be about the 59-ish.
Yeah, I think Aldrich had the first one at the 61 Nationals. He was the event director. No, I think about Larry Scarinzi was the event director. But I saw Aldrich with that airplane, the first one, at some Nationals.
That'd be neat.
It was kind of like a silver blue. It was pretty.
Yeah.
So,
Bob,
the question I had for you.
Yeah.
With an airplane that has twin booms on it.
Yeah.
High aspect ratio or low aspect ratio stab and elevator?
has twin booms.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, why don't you share that that drawing that you had?
All right.
What's his name had one at the VSC? Who was it that had one at VSC? A Torino.
That was me.
And you had to add some area to something.
To the elevator.
Yeah. Kind of answered your own question there.
Well, no. The thing is that the plans were drawn up and published. I talked to John come on now. I can't remember the designer's name now.
Doesn't get any better.
Old age is terrible, isn't it?
CRS.
Anyway, it had been drawn with too narrow too narrow elevator.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, hey, look, I had to add this much elevator. And he says, yeah, I had to do that too.
Now, is that the red one with the gold trim? That was that VSC or yellow trim?
It had kind of like a rainbow thing on the.
Whose airplane was that?
That was come on now. I-beamer guy, Jack Sheeks.
Yeah, but who had the one at VSC? There was. I don't think it was you, the one I saw. I don't think it was yours. It was somebody else.
Well, I had a lot of gold on mine.
Was yours red?
Huh?
Was yours red?
It had some red on it.
No, this was an all red one with a little bit of gold trim.
No,
gold trim.
No, that wasn't.
I forgot who it was and had it, but it was pretty.
Yeah. Well, it actually mine flew really quite well once I added the elevator area.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny flying it because that fuselage is so skinny. It looks like you're flying a sewing needle.
I mean, that's the way a Tiyasaki is.
Or toothpick on lines, whatever. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Tiyasaki's like that when you're flying it. I ended up making instead of a 2-inch, I put a 2 1/4 spinner on it that was red. The fuselage is purple, and I put a white streak down the length of the plane. Back at the back, I looks like fletches. And when you're flying it, it looks like you're flying an arrow. So we call it my aeroplane.
You remember John Davis's arrow? It looked like it was it actually had rudders that went up and one rudder went down, like flipping an arrow.
I remember the plans to that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that was it had retracts in it too.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You flew it in '76.
Yeah.
Yeah,
76.
Sparky.
I was over flying sailplanes.
Hey guys.
Hey, Sparky, you back in Dayton?
Yep.
aren't you done rubbing that thing out yet?
No.
Well, that was a dumb question, wasn't it?
Yeah. It'll take a while.
Sparky likes to rub.
Yeah.
I like to get it done.
I get it. Now my finishes in no way resemble Sparky's, but I get them to the point. He had that thing about 2 weeks ago, and then I either fly it or I hang it up for a couple of months and let the dope completely gas off. Then I'll go back and do it once. He does it 2 or 3 times. Now I understand how he gets those super finishes. I still don't know if I can do it.
Is that a standard size tucker?
No.
That's a big mother tucker?
Yep.
Another tucker or mega tucker.
Hey, I don't have to put a dollar in the jar. That was
Yeah.
No,
Hey, Bob, I came across something you was talking about maybe about a month ago about that Thunderbird at VSC that crashed. I have a picture of it.
Yeah.
And let me see here.
Well, you get enough advertising on thing. Are you getting any kind of? Well, that's Ed Capitanelli's.
No, I'm not getting no. Not getting no residuals.
You know, residual. That's Ed Capitanelli's 105.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty.
That's nice.
Flies good too.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's no longer with us. But I saw its demise. It happened this year at VSC.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a shame.
really, that is a shame. I have a few other frames of it, I think. Let's see
I didn't
here.
think they had a VSC this year.
This past year.
Yeah, I was, last year, 2020. I was there in March.
Randy Powell put one in early in the week.
Oh, he did. Here's another shot of it.
Are you sure this is the one that went in?
I was there. I was there. There's no.
Isn't that ironic that two F-105 Thunder Chiefs went in at the same contest?
What? At the same contest?
Yeah, Randy Powell lost his too.
I think that's Randy Powell.
I saw one. I don't know whose it was. I just saw this one that I took a picture of when I was at VSC.
Oh,
That's sharp.
Isn't that Randy Powell's AMA number?
No, this isn't Powell's. Powell's was done in a sanded spinach scheme.
Oh, okay.
It was gorgeous. Ah, that's Lou Wolgass airplane.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
a little mini Mirage, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a baby beside that other one.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It really does. But I was just coming across that. Oh, Bob was just talking about that.
About what?
You talking about that? We was talking about this Thunderbird a while back. I thought.
Yeah.
About a month, within a month, we was talking. It came up in conversation.
Not tonight, you mean earlier?
Not tonight. No.
Bob had what was that one you did, Bob? T-28?
What's that?
Many moons ago, you did
the 105?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in 72.
That was a neat looking plane, but it had so much stuff hanging on it.
It was
I said,
good.
there is no way. And I
It flew
saw
good.
it flying. It flew very well.
It flew better with the drop tanks on than with it didn't fly at all with the drop tanks off. When I put the drop tanks on, it came alive. That's the very first airplane I started winning big contests with against all the guys here in the East Coast, Simons and Schaefer and those guys. That's the very first airplane I actually won a contest flying against those guys.
Hey Bob, did you hear that Dan Winship is going to come over to John's? We're going to do a Saturday at John's. We're going to make me a bell crank mold so I can make bell cranks.
There you go. Yeah, I talked to Dan for about an hour and a half the other day. It's really cool.
I'm glad to hear he's still kicking.
Yeah, he looks good.
I've heard out of him in a while.
He's on a big health kick too. He looks great.
Good deal.
Sparky fired up the buffer.
Yeah, I just muted you, Sparky.
I gotta back out and come back in. I'll be back.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I can't stay long tonight either. I'm gonna get up early in the morning, but figured I'd come in and say Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
New Year.
I appreciate that.
I'm not leaving right now, but I can't stay out too long.
No problem.
How's the little twin project going?
Here's
Bobby.
You talking to
Bobby
who,
said, how's your twin problem? How's your twin coming?
Oh, the new one?
Yeah, the little one.
The little one. Coming along good. Real good.
Great.
I'm almost ready to join the wing. I got the controls ready to go in, and I'm just carving tips for it now. I want to make nice looking tips on it. And fuselage crutches ready to go together. I should have the thing in one piece in about a week.
Cool.
Wow.
Cool. I need to get off my
gonna
lazy
look like
ass and
I'll put two Park 450s in it, and hopefully a 2800 5S pack. Should be plenty to run those two Park 450s.
4800 5S.
Yeah,
Holy
2800 5S will be more than enough. I can actually probably go with quite a bit less battery than that. If I could get a 2200, that would be enough. The two motors are just more efficient than a twin. When I was flying that twin, a big test bed twin, a huge one, we did a test bed, and it was draggy airplane, and we had two power 10s in it with 10-inch props on a 4000 4S battery, spinning both motors and the retracts. And I use 1,600 milliamps per flight.
Wow.
Out of a 4,000. Now figure that out.
So did the batteries get smaller real fast?
Yeah, I can make the batteries a lot smaller, you know.
Yeah.
They're very efficient. I don't know if it has. Dean Pappas and I were just talking about this about an hour ago. I can't figure out why the twin is more efficient. Is it the fact that there's no spiral airflow around the fuselage causing drag? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that you have two discs pulling the plane.
Yeah, but
versus a single one. I have
you should be using the same amount of wattage to fly the pattern, but you're not.
Yeah, but you have so much more surface area pulling the plane.
Yeah,
much more powerful than a single smaller disc.
I agree.
Right?
But why are we using that much less? Look at that.
Oh,
I
mama.
like that. That
Nice.
looks cute.
Oh, I like that rudder.
Huh.
I like the rudder silhouette.
Me
John, you are
likes
planning on
that.
doing
Well, thank
this with
you.
electric now, right?
Yeah. The motor. That's why I stopped working on it, is because I realized working with a tandem that when you pull up, this tank would go lean, but this tank would go rich or quit, depending on how you have tank set up. So, you know, a tandem twin is not going to work optimal for stunt, but an electric would. And you guys were just discussing one of the questions I had, what your thoughts were on it. We've got a twin here, but it's tandem, and they're one's rotating one direction, the other's rotating the other. And I'm wondering, you know.
Well, one of them, just like this, won the Nationals in 1967.
Yeah, I realized that. It wasn't quite like this. It was a big yellow one. I got to see it when he flew it at VSC. But yeah, the thing is they, if I remember rightly, flew it for him at VSC, and it was
flew it. Yeah,
he had to work with it quite a bit to get it to where it's running, you know, where he could do it. So anyway,
he had to work with it quite a bit just to hold on to it. I think
it was big. Yeah, it's a pair of 35s in it. Anyway, this is the low aspect ratio stab and elevator. All right.
That should be plenty.
Well, I've got one here that maybe I can go over here to it. There's the low aspect, the high aspect ratio
as well. That's a higher aspect ratio.
Right.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like them much better.
Better.
I like it better too, but and realizing that a lot of twin boomers are running a higher ratio stab and elevator on it. They seem to work out well, and the Bob Barron's and Netzbon's the humbugs had very high aspect ratio.
Yeah. If a little bit is good, a whole lot more is better, and too much is perfect.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but back to the question, you're talking about spiral airflow, and in this area, it's going to have back to here, but here it's going to straighten it out. I don't know.
I was just wondering if the spiral airflow hitting the fuselage was causing drag. I would imagine it has to.
You know it is. It has to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the reasons it's more efficient. I don't know why it's not using anywhere near the amount of battery that a single motor airplane of the same weight uses.
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If the fuselage wasn't a problem, if the fuselage wasn't a big drag efficient, then you wouldn't see big bombers and big commercial airliners have Coke bottle effect fuselages.
That's true. Of course, they're
my guess, Bob.
They're in a totally different Reynolds number envelope than we are.
Well, that's true, but it's still air passing over. Passing over fuselage.
We're flying miniature surfaces in full scale air.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas you can scale up or scale down the surface, you can't scale up or scale down the air it's flying in.
Nope.
Yep.
So
I don't know.
So here's my 2 cents, Bob.
You can find some rarefied air quick out there.
That sounded very astute and erudite, didn't it? I don't know what the heck it means, but
Well,
that thin air out there, and it's always windy.
I went to the
Every time I've been,
badass
it's so
site.
windy. Wow.
I went to the badass site to try to look up possible power, and I kind of looked at 2814s with 3S battery on it, and I checked their prop thing on there, and I can run a 9697 at about, according to their, about 57, 58, 60 miles an hour, and it's got a thrust of over 60 ounces. So I think that's probably where I'll want to go. But
what's the kV on those motors?
960.
And you're only running a 3S?
Yeah, that's what their chart says. Even.
Yeah, but remember, their charts are predicated on radio control flying. We're flying control line airplanes with wires attached to them. It's a whole different world with that much drag on them.
Well, that's true. That's true. But on their chart, when I went up to 4S, the diameter of the prop seemed to come down, and it didn't like, it didn't like the longer, more efficient props.
I'd probably go to a lower kV motor with more voltage, with a 5S 2800 or even a 6S 2800, and get down to like about 710 kV or so.
Okay.
But the theoretical for that motor, it's 960 kV on 3S is 10,650 RPM max with no load.
Right.
So depending on which prop you're gonna put, if you put a 6-inch prop on it, which runs about 9,000 or so, especially it's a twin, should be enough.
Well, I'm planning on a 9-inch 3-blade.
Ooh. Oof. Oh, that's gonna bite you.
Again, I'm going off of Badass's old chart. I can go down to an 8 and cut it down, but that's the starting point I was thinking of.
The more blades you add, the more inefficient it's going to be.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
2 blades is more efficient than 3.
Yeah.
Look at boat racing. They run a single blade a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, anyway, so I think you've made up my mind. I'm going to go with this higher aspect ratio.
Yeah,
I'll check in.
That's a great looking plane. Let us know how it comes.
Yeah. Oh, you'll know.
Now you've got 2 airplanes we're going to be watching for.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bob, was you planning
Bob, I
on
have a
eating?
theory for you.
I'll be back, you guys.
All right.
What'd you say, Tran?
I have a theory for Bob.
Yeah.
Bob was saying why that plane was using so little battery.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is the combined power of the motors. It's a lot. Okay. And when you have lots of power combined with lots of surface area pulling the plane, you have to run it very relaxed to produce the thrust that you need.
Well, that's possible. Yeah.
So that kind of simple, my simple stupid logic right now.
Your guess is as good as mine on this, because it's something even Dean Pappas, who's he's pretty smart at this, he couldn't give me a definitive answer either. So
yeah.
And we need to find out what the real answer is. Why we're using so little battery to get the same performance or more performance out of an airplane. I just don't get it.
It's almost, I think you can look at it as robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because, and I'm talking motor on one side, Peter motor is the Peter, and Paul is the ESC and the battery, right? So, you take away from Peter, from the motor, weight from the motor, have to add it on the ESC because it needs more amps and definitely to the battery. And not only the battery, it needs to be added to compensate for that, but plus for all the heat that you lose in the system.
Well, that's very possible, and it's possible even. But I just thought I'd throw it out there because it's really interesting.
Yeah.
When we first flew the big twin, here's another thing. the big twin, had 2 power 10s, 2 10-inch props, 10 5s, and it was 67-ounce airplane. This is a big airplane with retracts. And the first day out, Buddy Weeder and I took it out, and he wanted to pull the retracts up right away. And I said, no, we're going to get the motors running today. We're going to make sure we get that system working perfectly. And as a brief aside, when we first flew the airplane, I'm thinking to myself, with 2 motors, this thing's going to pull like a freight train. And I took off, and the thing almost came at me. The thing had no tension whatsoever. No line tension. Almost scary no line tension. And I couldn't figure it out. And then it hit me. I never checked the relative RPM of the 2 motors.
The outboard's harder?
Outboard was 75 RPM more than the inboard.
So 75.
So, yeah. So I reversed it, and I put the 75 on the inboard motor, and it almost pulled my arm out of its socket. 75 RPM differential. So we ended up with 25 RPM differential. That was interesting. But when we flew the airplane the first time with the gear down, we flew the whole day that way. And I went home and recharged all the batteries. And in a 4S battery, I put back in 2,400 milliamps in a 4S for 5-minute and 40-second flights. Okay. The next time we went out, we retracted the landing gear. And when we came back home, we charged the batteries. We put 1,800 milliamps in them. 25% less power usage with the landing gear up.
What?
25%.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I'm very curious about this. One time when I was flying, the landing gear came loose and it fell off the plane, and the plane was a completely different animal.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
they fly way better with the gear off. Well, how many times you guys, how many, I'm sure, Phil, you've had a Ringmaster with landing gear and one without landing gear.
And one without.
Which one flies better?
The one without, naturally.
No question about it.
Yeah. I was seriously thinking of putting the retracts on mine.
I think that'd be a great idea.
The only problem with retracts in a standard configuration airplane, like folding in like a P-51 does, is that if you can't seal the doors, and Paul Walker told me this, he tried it, and if you can't get the doors to seal perfectly, and if you leave the doors off and have a channel in there, it'll disturb the airflow where the thing will just not land properly. It affects the way it flies. But on the twin, we're retracting the main gear directly up into a nacelle forward and the front gear back. So we're not disturbing the airflow over the wing. So it's something to think about if you're going to do a standard configuration retract.
That must be because the nacelle sticks down below the skin of the wing. So the airflow, the disruption would be,
Well, what I'm saying is, if you have a hole in the bottom of the wing, it disturbs the air. The nacelle doesn't seem to work. It doesn't bother it at all.
Well, your nacelle on your plane, the hole in the bottom of the nacelle was where the heat comes out. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you get that. I want you to publish one of these twins. That last twin you published, Turning Point, that is a sharp looking airplane.
That will probably.
When I remember the name, it's a good looking.
That will get published.
I want to see. I want one of those. There's several planes I want, but I'd like to have that for my twin.
The problem is when we say get published these days, where do you publish it?
Only one place, Bob.
Just send me a copy. I don't care. Tell me how much check.
If you publish it in like Model Aviation, they're only going to let you put in about 2,500 words. Good grief. 2,500 words on that airplane wouldn't tell you how to put the spinners on it, It's going to have to be a long document if you're going to really explain how to build it and how to set it up. That's going to be 80 to 100 word document.
Yep.
Now, just when you get it ready, let me know and send me a copy.
Yeah. Well, we need what we make. Here's what we could do. Maybe Sparky could help out with this. I'm going to float this past you guys, and I probably shouldn't because it's something I've been talking to somebody else about. But this is a good format, a good forum to talk about it. What if we were to ask Sparky to set up a segment of Stunthangar for Pampa, and only Pampa members could access that area, And then on there, we would have district reports. So the district directors could daily put stuff in about their district and have it be just factual stuff, not stuff where we could have arguments and things like that, or have, opinions get into it. Maybe have a separate forum in there for people, but just have something where you could deliver a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
That'd be a great idea.
And if you had that format, then you could also have it so you could publish airplanes.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we need something like that in this hobby because, the only one, Model Aviation is the only one in the States here that is doing anything
at all. Even there, you're not going to get. You're not. No. I know a little bit about that magazine because I was the editor of it for 7 years, and I can tell you right now, you're not going to get anything more than a 2,500 word article in there.
Yeah.
It's too many things they have to cover.
Well, and two, if you're going to do it with Stunt, you're only going to hear about it every 4 months or 3 months.
Yeah. So if we had our own section where we could run like a little magazine and put in articles, and then sell plans and have the proceeds all go to Sparky to help them run the site.
Wow.
Bad idea.
Where did he go?
Easy enough to just instead of selling plans, just sell a PDF file.
Yeah, well, you can do that too. What do we think of the idea of having a separate section for Pampa?
I think it'd be great. Myself personally, I wish Sparky was here to hear that.
Great.
Yeah, but then, playing devil's advocate, don't we start running into who's going to moderate it, who's going to edit it, it's just like what happened with Stunt News. You get to a point where it was a great newsletter, but people just didn't have the time to devote to it to make it, to be a proper.
Well, the beauty of this would be that it doesn't have to have a deadline. Every day could be a deadline. If you have something that's important, you need to post it to your district members. You can post it daily. You don't have to wait till the next newsletter comes out. It could be an ongoing document, and people could post to it as they see fit. Yeah, you would have to have a moderator to go through things and make sure that it meets a certain standard. I would be happy to do that. I'm not going to do the amount of editing I did. What you saw with Stunt News was the tip of the iceberg. That was a 100-page magazine I had to put out every other month, and it was like 400 hours worth of work in it.
I just brought up that you have to. It has to be well thought out, so it doesn't morph into something like that. And then of course it goes the way that Stunt News did, which was a terrific document. Except you needed basically a professional staff to run it. Which
we had. 3 of us put that thing out, and but the hardest part was getting material. I mean, any publication can be likened to a wood burning stove. It consumes a tremendous amount of material every month, and when it's gone, it's gone. You got to refill the stove. And that I spent 99% of my time was spent cajoling people on the phone and calling in favors and getting asking people to write articles, actually almost threatening them, saying, come on, you got to write an article, and that would be the more difficult part, is to get some content. But it wouldn't be necessary to have to say, well, we're going to have a specific amount of content in a given amount of time. It can be.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent idea, Bob, and I
do too, Bob.
I think it's the next step for a club-type publication.
Mm-hmm. But it would have to be a code where you could have to type the code in to get into that section, which would hopefully make people want to join Pampa, which would help Pampa. And then anything that's purchased as plans or PDFs or products or anything we come up with, a portion of it or all of it would go to Sparky for letting us do this. And that would solve his problem of trying to get this thing funded.
Plus you get people, you get people that might come up, send you a message, say, hey, I've written up something on control systems, and you can say, well, let me see it, send it to me, let me see it, and come back and say, yeah, it looks great. You need to think about this or this or this, and next, and there's no publication date. You're not trying to hit a deadline. I think
Yeah.
For a
We
club
might,
type.
we might want to have some technical advisors to look things over to make sure we're not putting out patently erroneous information.
Or
I
somebody.
had that myself. I had Paul on staff. I had Dean Pappas on staff, and I Brett Buck. I had people that say, "Look, I'm going to pass something by you. What do you think of this?" You know.
Yeah.
And, very often you'd have to lower your standards because otherwise there'd be nothing to fill the magazine. You know.
Well, yeah. Plus, you'd have to look over things like copyrights and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I mean, I like the idea. I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, there's some problems to be hammered out and some things to think about, and probably some questions we haven't asked yet. But the basic idea, you guys like?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be all
We
for it.
look forward to trying to get this together.
Yeah, I'd actually probably be willing to kick in an article or two now and then.
There you go. You
I
know,
have a little bit of housekeeping to do. Let me catch up on the chat box. Jack Snavely says, "Hello all again, people in Stuntland and Stunt Hangar or shop or all around the world. Just saying hello, friends, and we'll watch the replay later when I get some sleep." Always thumbs up. And then Greg Biswick said, "There's a link on Stunt Hangar to Pampa." That's true. And then he says, "Charles, would you ask Bob if his email is working?" Bob, is your email working?
last time I checked, yeah.
All right, we're all caught up.
If he has the right one, I mean, I don't know if he's got it.
That's true.
I'm not sure I want to put it out on this format.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
You go back to that tandem twin. Somebody said something about that. Now, actually, I'm not going to be doing any major work on that until I finished with the one I'm working on. It's just too hard, to keep track of two.
Man,
Though
two clothes as unique as those two, that would be tough to do at one time.
Yeah, you got to put all your energies on that one.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful on rotation. You got to make sure that when you rotate, the back prop doesn't hit, because that was a major problem on the Loomis's airplane.
That's the first thing I designed in there. If you notice, the rear engine is up higher, and the bottom of the boom is down enough that if you rotate, you're going to hit the boom long before you hit the prop.
Yeah.
Bob, who won in '67?
Rich Loomis won senior with the what was the name of the airplane?
I want to say yardstick, but it's something like that.
No, I'll think of it in a minute. Richie Loomis won with that airplane in '67 with a push-pull twin, and it was bigger in real life. When we see him now at VSC, I think what's his name? Bob Harness has one, and Richie Loomis, before he passed away, brought one to VSC, and Bob flew it. That's a huge airplane. It's an immense airplane.
Yeah.
It is huge.
I've seen Bob Harness's plane fly. It flew nice.
Yeah. Anybody
We're talking huge.
The name of it.
We're talking huge like a sweeper, or bigger than that.
It was about the size of a sweeper.
Wow.
I can't remember
That is
the
a
name
big
of it,
airplane.
Bob.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a minute. Usually I could rattle that stuff off, but
Yeah. I was sorry to hear Loomis had passed on, though.
yeah. Nice guy.
We lost.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of good ones last 2
We
years.
sure have. We lost Don Cransville and Bob Gialdini, and
I'm happy to hear that RJ's on the mend.
yeah, how about it?
You knew that's the way he flies,
What was the name of that airplane? Two bits.
Two bits.
bits.
Okay.
That was the name of that airplane.
It was yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember seeing it in the magazine. Once you tell me the name. Yeah.
So who won open stunt at that Nationals?
67. Let's see.
You should know.
Mine was Lampion.
That was
68.
Kopinski.
I believe
Klopinski.
it was Bart. with his.
But who was second? Come on, who was second?
Dick
forget it.
Mathis
Who's
There
on
you
first?
go.
with the Chiseler, with the wheel pin.
Nobody remembers who was second.
And third with Bob Gieske.
There you go.
67. Let's see. I wasn't even born yet, so I don't know.
Those guys were flying well to beat Bob back in those days.
Yeah.
I was minus 1 year old in '67.
That was in Los Alamitos. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Who won the '63 Nationals in Los Alamitos?
Wasn't that Giardini?
Gialdini with the Stingray.
Yeah.
And who was second?
Who's on first?
Billy Werwich. Billy Werwich, right out of the Army with the Super Aries.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't know who took third that year.
What motor did he have in it? The Tiger? What motor did Billy have in it? What motor did Bill have in
the K&B?
Super Aries?
The K&B 45.
K&B.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That
was before the Tiger was even known about, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I showed you guys this prop last week.
Yeah.
I thought it's not the Zor or whatever you pronounce it. That was some others that I got. These are Homer. Homer.
Nice props.
But it was on eBay and they had it advertised as carbon fiber. But I got but they had the what were they? What do they call these things? Zelkova wood, which is basically elm or something like that, wherever it's from. But it was 5 of them. What did I pay for them? Can't remember what it was. It was select as a wood out of stock because I bought the last ones they had. So yeah, it was like $45 for 10 of them.
Well, that's not bad.
No, 11.6. I got them for the fly with the. It's what I fly on my LA-46 on my toter, but they're about half the weight. About half the weight of that master air screw I had on there.
Very good.
We didn't do much wood. We didn't do much wood and props because back when we flew, master air screw was what everybody had, so that's what we got.
You ever flown an APC?
APCs? No, I've got some. They weigh like 5 ounces.
They're good props.
How
Yeah, well, they can't.
flying?
They shouldn't. They should never break. I know that.
Well, you can break them.
On a 46. If you're
Well, what size prop are you talking about that weighs 5 ounces?
It must be a big one.
Oh,
That'd be a pretty big APC.
Hey, Bob, real quickly, that push me, pull me twin. I'm going to call it a bad attitude.
Yeah, I saw the name on there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you saw that. Okay.
I like that.
Here's a picture of the side view of mine without the nacelles, because with the nacelles you can't see the fuselage shape. But I thought I had it here. I guess not. Give me a minute, I'll show it.
okay. Here's a. Let me get my little scale here. 10.6 master air screw. 23.8 grams.
Yeah, less than an ounce.
Top flight PowerPoint 10.6 wood. 14 grams.
Yeah.
APC 10.6 33 grams.
So it's just over an ounce.
Yeah. But it's,
not that bad. And it's a far better prop.
Did anyone else ever jump in on the props Mike we're selling, the rev ups? 12.5?
Yeah, I got some. Yeah,
Yeah, so did I.
Who was selling them?
Mike Wonky.
Oh, look at that.
That looks pretty. That looks so sweet.
Sharp.
That's the little twin without the nacelles. You can't see the nacelles because I don't know how long they're going to be yet. But that's
now, what engine did go, or what power's going in there?
They're going to be 2 Park 450s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a pair of half A's?
Well, they're bigger than half A's. They're way bigger than half A's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Park 450 is something that'll pull a good 25 size airplane, no problem. You know.
Oh, okay. So about like a 15 then.
Yeah, they're like a 15. Yeah, I would say. You know.
What kind of landing gear are you going to put in there?
You can see the kind of faint, if you look real close, you can see this is an overlay done over another drawing.
Oh, okay. So it's right here.
Landing gear.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be right.
Looks good, Bob.
It's gonna have gonna have retracts. That's cool.
No, it won't have retracts, that one. No.
Okay.
That's the little one, so it's not gonna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm game for both of them. Those are both beautiful airplanes.
It's just a little version of that big one I had. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
What's going to be the wingspan on that?
It's two 26-inch panels, so 52 with inch tips, 54.
Okay.
Be neat.
What kind of area are you talking about, Bob?
635, 535 to 540. About a nobler size airplane, you know.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. That'll be nice to go back to some airplanes we can actually transport.
Yeah, and it's something that people can try out a twin without spending a whole lot of money or a whole lot of time, because there's no finish on the airplane. You know, it's just that carbon put on with the thinned out type on, and basically you just seal the wood parts with Z-epoxy finishing resin, brushed on, wiped off, sand it, and go fly. You know, it'll be light, it'll be strong, and it'll be inexpensive and fast to build. All good things.
I think the smaller plane, I still think it fits the pattern better.
Oh, I totally agree. I never liked these big airplanes. You have to fly them, you know.
It's either got to be a small airplane to fit the pattern or one that turns just exceptionally well. Because Revolution appears to fit the pattern as good as anything I've seen lately, and it's a big airplane.
Yeah.
But it turns incredible.
You know, it's more than just turn. It's perception of airplane versus background. Think about it. If you were to fly one of these big airplanes, 64-inch, 62-inch span, big airplane, at a field that's surrounded by trees, and you fly it, it's going to look like an elephant out there doing the pattern. And a nobler size airplane will look like it fits that field perfectly. Now you go to a Nationals, the nobler will look like a half A, and the other airplane will look and scale to it because there's nothing around the circle.
Very good point.
You know.
And what's weird is when you're flying you first start flying contests, and you fly someplace like Bob's been to Hobby Park, so he knows what Hobby looks like, or it used to look like. It's about completely different now. But anyway, you go to Hobby Park and you're surrounded by trees, and you get used to flying, and then suddenly you go someplace like Virginia, where the Gnats were. I've forgotten what year it was. But
Tidewater.
The Gnats were, and there's nothing around for 150 yards. Mm-hmm. It almost startled you because your airplane just doesn't look right.
It's different. The perception is different. So and we all got into those big airplanes, and now it's hard to get the judges to think that if they watch a small airplane do a good pattern, it's very difficult to get them to give it points. However, what I've always tried to do was make airplanes that were smaller but look bigger, deeper fuselages, and kind of fake out the whole thing. You know, that Usama is 620 squares, and that's about I think it's an ideal size. You know, it fits into the pattern well. It doesn't pull your arm out of its socket flying, and it's just easy to fly. You know, those big airplanes are a chore.
That is the whole premise behind the little Pathfinder twin. It's not little. It's basically uses the wing and the fuselage off of the full size Pathfinder.
It looks smaller though.
Yeah.
And it feels like a small airplane when you fly it. I've flown that airplane.
If you're building a plane, do you determine the engine size by wing area or weight of the plane?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes to both.
I have a technical question for you, Bob.
Yeah.
Say you trim a plane and you can adjust how much flaps you are using.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can use whatever flaps you want to have.
Right.
Right? How do you go by saying, well, this is enough or this is not enough, too much or too little? What do you notice?
Well, I think I word the question differently. Why do you move the flaps so much for a given airplane, versus the elevator?
Okay.
Okay. And if you notice that if you watch the guys who were pretty good flyers, in the spring it's one setup, in the summer it's a different one, and in the fall it's back to the one you had in the spring. You have more air in the air in cooler weather, and you need less lift. So flaps do one good thing: they give you boost lift, and they do 37 bad things. They create drag, and they do all kinds of bad things. So you want to get away with as little flap as possible, but you have to use as much as necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the heat of the summer, you're probably going to have to move your elevator horn down so you get more flap versus elevator movement to give the airplane enough lift in high density altitude situations. And when you get into the fall, when it gets cooler, you can pump the elevator back up again because you don't need as much flap to turn the corner and maintain the airplane without stalling.
No, wait a second. Elevator down makes the pusher longer. So for the same throw on your handle, you're gonna have less elevator.
You move the elevator slider up or down. It gives you a difference in the flap elevator ratio.
Yeah, it gives you
the more elevator you get.
More flaps than elevator. You increase the flaps, reduce the elevator by doing that, right?
If you move the slider up, you're getting more elevator, less flap.
Yes.
You're getting more elevator movement quicker, which gives you less flap.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's good for like spring and fall, typically. Unless you get a really hot spring or fall. But in the middle of the summer, when you have very hot, humid days, when there's very little air in the air, you're going to need more flap. So you're going to move that elevator slider down.
Yeah. So, okay. And how do you determine, like, I need more flaps, or I don't have enough?
I fly the airplane if I feel like the hardest maneuver would be what? The bottom corner of an hourglass or the bottom corner of a triangle, that 120-degree turn. If you feel the airplane starting to mush or stall in there, you're going to have to get more lift.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I've always done it, I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy,
Okay. No, I understand that, because, I haven't heard for that yet. Neither at the Nats nor now. In colder conditions, I haven't seen much of a difference between.
Well, if you build a light airplane, it's going to work in all conditions. I mean, really, that's the secret. The lighter the airplane is, and some people will argue with me on this. I've always believed that it may be possible to build a stunt model too light, but no one has ever done it.
Yeah.
So
not yet.
That's how I feel. Now, Teddy Fancher will argue with me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. But on that notice, on a token, like let's say you have a big airplane that weighs 10 ounces. Those 10 ounces is not going to pull on the lines. You have to have such lines to make it work.
Yeah, you'll hit the NETC band wall at some point in time, and that's another problem. I'm talking about, the difference between let's boil it down to something different. Ounces per square foot of wing loading, wing area. How many ounces per square foot of wing area? I've had them as low as 9.3 ounces per square foot of wing area. That was like a 34-ounce Genesis on 560 squares or 50 squares.
Ounces, let's say 59 divided by that number.
It was in the lines.
I'm sorry?
It was a 500, let's say a 560 square inch wing on 34 ounces or 36 ounces. So it's
okay, let me change it. Now it's the other way around. 710 divided by.
So if you got about a 70-ounce airplane, you need 1,000 square inch wing.
Yeah, I'm at 12 ounces.
Well, no, I'm saying the airplanes will fly up to and including 12 ounces per square foot of wing loading competitively, but I contend that they're lighter, they fly better.
I have 12 square inches per ounce.
How much?
12 square inches per ounce. But 59 ounces divided by 710 square inches.
59? No, not 59 ounces. 36 ounces on 560 squares. How many ounces per square foot does that work out to be?
36 per divided by what?
It's in the 9 someplace.
36 divided by 560, you said?
Yeah.
560. That gives you 0.064.
Yeah, we're talking apples and oranges here. I'm looking for ounces per square foot of wing area.
Oh, per square foot.
Right.
Okay, just a second. So it's let's do
divide 5 by 144.
60 divided by 144. Yep.
Yeah.
That is 3.88 square feet. Okay.
Right.
And
wait,
equals
36 ounces
times 36 is what is wrong with this thing? This calculator just give me.
I don't have a calculator here in front of me. I could figure it out.
Yeah, I should have a calculator next to me.
Hey, Dennis.
But anyway, it was in the 9 ounces per square foot of wing area, and that was one of the best flying airplanes I've ever owned in my life. And it flew good in every condition. Everybody says a light airplane won't fly good in wind, right? That's just one consideration, is the weight of the airplane. The other consideration is the power configuration. If you're running a dead 2-4 cycle engine in a very light airplane, yeah, you got a falling leaf. It's a leaf out there. But if you have a low pitch, high RPM engine, so you're always in low gear, it's always pulling. It's not being blown around. And you can fly a lighter airplane in heavier air, depending on how you have the thing geared.
Bob, you're at 14.4 at 56 ounces.
No, that's not even possible. It was in the 9s.
I just didn't crunch the numbers for you.
36 ounces on 560 squares is not 14 ounces per square foot.
Okay, 560 divided by 144. That is 3.888, right? Square feet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said, well, how many ounces?
36 ounces.
So 36 divided by 3.888, I said, right? Yeah, 9.25, 9.26.
There you go. Yeah. And everybody says that's way too light a wing loading. To me, if I could have had it at 34 ounces, I would have been even happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, you need some lines.
That's an extreme. That's an extreme. We're all probably now flying competitive airplanes someplace in the 11 ounce per square foot wing loading range.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. Because it's more than just wing loading. It's also power loading and power configuration. I mean, there's more than everybody focuses on one thing or another, but you have to put it all into the bouillabaisse here of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm running revolutions which are 12 ounces per square foot.
You're running 12 ounces per square foot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of people are in that range. And it works.
Yep.
I have a comment, you guys, from Top Brent. He says, Bob, enjoying the little twin build thread, Lost Sheeting Evangelist.
What's that?
He says, Lost Sheeting Evangelist.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's a good idea for people who don't care about having to have a high-polished stunner, who just want to go out and have something that flies good, put a lot of time in flying and less time in building. I think it makes a lot of sense. You can have a lot of airplanes, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, that carbon, you don't have to take a mortgage out on your house to buy enough to do 10 airplanes,
No, it's relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I don't know what the wing loading is on the Junar that I flew a couple years ago at the Nats, but that was a light plane. I forgot what the square.
That's 720 square inch airplane. Did you?
And it was 58.5 ounces.
Yeah, that's light.
It was kind of windy, and I was kind of bracing for the worst because I was so used to flying my lumber wagons But I was really comfortable. Once I relaxed, I really thought, wow, that was my first light plane I ever flew.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So I'm a believer now. It's just the challenge is building a light plane. That's the challenge.
If you look at the power loading or the powertrain gearing, back in the old days, we used to fly Fox 35s. Yeah, I used to use Fox 35s as engines instead of cutting them up for tip weight like I do now. But back then we had 10-6 props, and we were running them in a 2-4 brake. And when they came downhill, they were shutting off, and the wind would affect them. It would blow them all over the place like a leaf. But then when we went to lower pitch props and higher RPMs, essentially putting it in low gear, like a car in low gear, you press down on the accelerator, it's only going to go as fast as the gearing will allow it to go. And it's going to go there with authority. It's going to keep driving.
Yeah.
So it's more than just weight, and it's more than just gearing. It's the whole thing put together that works.
Yeah, because Sparky's Junar is using the Super Tiger 60 with a rev up 13.6, and it was on like a fast 4-cycle kind of run the whole time. But it was light enough that it wasn't bothered by the wind. It would just take a little bit longer going into the wind. Like on the overhead 8, it would just slow down going into the wind, but there was no less. It wasn't free flight, and I had full control of the plane. I just had to wait a little bit.
And that's a fairly thin wing airplane too. I mean, that's a USA 1 wing in that airplane with a little bit more leading edge radius. That's a fairly thin wing and a fairly low aspect. Well, we're looking at one right in the background of what we're looking at.
Right.
It's a fairly low aspect ratio wing, and it's very thin, so it tows easily. It's not going to take a lot of power to pull it through the wind. But conversely, it has to be built light so that it doesn't stall.
I was looking at the Junar and I said, man, they'll make a great electric plane. Simply because of that. I mean, it has best characteristics for it to go electric. Airfoil, it's ideal.
Yeah.
I have another comment, guys, from Craig Biswick. He says, "Are flaps counted in the wing area?"
Yes.
Well, you got your answer there, Craig.
Yep. And here's an interesting fact too. Everybody that I know of counts the area that's in the fuselage, which is not wetted area. That's also counted in wing area.
I think that's normal.
That's actually when back in my aerodynamics classes back in college, they brought that point up, and they said that it was just done as a matter of convenience and also to accommodate for the fact that even though it's not wetted wing area, the fuselage just doesn't go along for the ride.
Right.
All right. So that it was the bottom line being it was just a consistent way everybody did it.
Yeah.
That's what it amounted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a brief aside that was interesting.
Yeah. But you're right. It's and we got skinny fuselages and wide fuselages and everything like that, but they all interact in one way or another.
Wider fuselages actually give a lot of lift. They actually contribute to the lift of the airplane more than our skinny fuselage.
Now, what about these fuselages that have a flat bottom? I've seen these. Some of them are just flat on the bottom of the fuselage as opposed to a rounded bottom. I always thought that a rounded bottom would be a better option than a flat bottom on a fuselage.
I think anything. You ever hear what they call the 5-to-1 rule?
No, not me.
You look at movies like Fighter Squadron, and you see the P-47s taking off with the monster drop tanks underneath them, and you think, well, man, they got to have a lot of drag. Well, actually, the 5-to-1 rule is if something is 5 times longer than it is in diameter, that's the optimum for low drag. And you would think something skinny and long would be less drag, but it's actually more drag. So the airplanes we're flying actually have more drag probably than the European airplanes that have those bigger fuselages that are closer to the 5-to-1 rule.
That's like
P-47.
Gordy's Ki-61, the Tony that he's campaigning.
Yeah.
That is a very wide fuselage.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to suffer from drag.
No. I'm a
Guys,
believer in that now.
my medicine's kicking in, so I'm gonna have to go. I'll see y'all Friday.
What are you bragging or complaining?
I'm complaining. I wish I didn't have to take it.
All right.
You take care. We'll see you
Hey,
Friday.
thanks, Eddie, for coming in.
Watch you when you
All right, man.
All right, Bob, I got a question.
Hi, Diddy.
The old GeoXL.
Hi, brother.
The old GeoXL. The original GeoXL. Was that not a semi-inline airplane?
What?
The GeoXL. The original Geo.
The original one. Well, the original GeoXL was originally not the GeoXL. It was an airplane called the Geo Max.
Yeah, that's it. I
It was
couldn't
a
think
twin
of
rotor
it.
airplane, and he made the team with it in 1990 for the 91. He flew that airplane at the team selection. The next time he brought it out, he had a rotor on it, and it was called the GeoXL. And yes, it was all in line.
All in line, and it had the skinny wing, the USA one wing with a redone. Yeah, and then he put the Geo Bolt wing in it and started with the GeoXL.
The lineage of all that was, well, you had another GeoXL, which was all the GeoXLs had USA one wings with a little bit more leading edge radius.
Yeah.
And then he went when he went to the Thunderbolts, he went to that new wing, that higher aspect ratio wing, with
it's bigger,
high point, very similar to what Randy Smith was doing with his series of airplanes.
Yeah, yeah. What I thought he had done, I thought he had just put a thicker wing in the GeoXL and called it the Geo Bolt wing, because I know I have a Bolt wing fixture downstairs.
No,
that's a different wing.
It's a whole different wing. It's a higher aspect ratio. It's a narrower chord, longer span, forward high point, and a little bit sharper leading edge than he had been using.
So
that wing is, of course, that's the wing that's in David's airplane, the Thunder Gazer, and that's why he calls it the Thunder Gazer, because of the Thunderbolt wing. That wing, typically, they say is more difficult to trim, but has more ultimate performance capability. I don't know. I've never actually investigated that. But talking to Billy, that's what he said.
I don't know. I'd be interested. I have the fixtures, but I have never finished that airplane, so I don't know. Yeah. I've got several planes downstairs that need painting. I hate to paint. I absolutely hate to paint. Love to build, hate to paint.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got thinking about Tran's got me thinking about smaller, thinner wings and such for electric. And you and I have talked, and I like the inline designs. My TO is an inline design. It's one of the best flying planes I've got. Yeah. I've been thinking about GeoXL with a skinny wing, which is the first wing or the original wing, and put that as electric and see what happens.
That would work fine. I don't see a reason why that wouldn't work fine. And I know I've told Charles this in the past, and I've probably told you this, and probably Denny and I have talked about it, even Steve. Everybody asks me, I get questions all the time. What's the best stunt ship to build? The best one to build.
The one that suits you.
It's the one you like. And the reason I say that is they're all reasonable designs. It's not about the individual design that makes one better than the other necessarily. I think it's the way they're executed. And Billy and I, on our trips out to VSC, we made 9 trips together out to VSC. And in between working out better harmonies to Grateful Dead and Jackson Browne songs, we talked about airplanes and all that, And when we boiled it down over those 9 trips, we coalesced it down to sort of a rule, and we call it the five attribute rule. If in order to be a good stunt ship, no matter what the design is, within reason, it's got to be light, and I don't mean feather light, but within a reasonable range of install. It's got to be accurately built, and I mean accurate in every sense of the word, especially the decollage of the stabilizer versus the wing has to be accurate. And then if an airplane is accurate on the workbench but not accurate under load, it's not accurate. So it has to be rigid. So we have lightweight, accuracy, and rigidity. And then the fourth thing is powertrain. It has to be a powertrain that's understandable by the owner and tunable by the owner. And I don't care if it's glow, electric, steam, nuclear, or 2 chipmunks on a turntable spinning the props. It's got to be strong enough to do the job, be tunable, and be consistent over a long period of time. And then the fifth attribute is a fully adjustable and robust control system that allows you at minimum to adjust the flap elevator neutraling, so you can adjust the neutral the two things, and also the ratio between the elevator and flap movement. At a minimum, it has to have that. Those 5 attributes are present in almost any of the airplanes we see at the field. It's going to fly great. If anyone's missing, it's going to be a caricature of an airplane.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense.
I have a question from the peanut gallery. This week says, Bob, 5-to-1 principle, is it circumference or diameter?
That's a good question. What would it be? The thicker the, that would be
diameter.
The diameter times the length. So something that's 5 times longer than it is in diameter, less drag or optimal drag. Which is
not circumference.
Bonneville's racers out of them.
Not circumference, but diameter.
Diameter. Yeah.
Well, that's like I was talking earlier about the rods. If you have an 1/8
This
rod,
dimension.
if you have a 1/8 rod sticking out in the wind like a piece of landing gear,
yeah,
and then you have one that's 5 times as wide, but it's 5 times as long, but it's airfoiled. They'll have the same drag in the wind tunnel.
Remember what I was saying before about pulling the landing gear up on the twin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we use 25% less power with the landing gear up, 3 1/8-inch wires. 25%.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I thought that 5-to-1 ratio was a happy marriage.
You wonder why I want a twin so bad.
I just know that. Oh yeah, 5-to-1, right?
Now, Steve, I know you're not from Utah.
Oh, don't open that kettle of worms.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I have a very good friend that all of you know that we've talked about. I won't say who it is. He went through 5 wives, and I asked him. I said, "What?" And he says, "Well, if you don't go through a few of them, you're not doing the stunt thing right."
Oh man,
That's a big
yes.
I'm way behind on the schedule.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Which is why I always introduce my wife. I always say, "This is Mary Ann, my first wife."
Hey, Bob, I got my new motor.
A badass.
Yeah, and it's for the USAMA, or, whatever it's gonna, USAMA wing and everything. But it's the 35-15-710.
Wow, that's way too big a motor for that size wing. Huge.
It's okay. It's not gonna use battery.
Right. That's what I'm thinking is
much.
You're gonna probably save it on a battery and ESC.
You could. I'm just thinking about weight. You could use a
but it weighs
6.5 or something.
Yeah, 6.5 instead of 6.3.
Just use it.
Compared to the 28.
I mean, it'll work for sure. I just think it's overkill motor for that airplane. That's a little airplane comparatively speaking.
That's the size motor for the Crossfire, isn't it?
Yeah, or anything, or Impact, or any of them.
Well, what I did, I talked to
what
Dennis.
prop are you gonna put in, Steve?
The 28 was a 2820, whatever it was.
28, 26, 10.
Yeah, weighs 6.3 ounces, and this weighs 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
But this will turn a lot bigger prop.
I forgot.
Or it'll turn a prop a lot easier. And I like the diameter of it because you get more torque out of a diameter motor.
It pulls very well. I always used like a Power 15 in my USAMA, and it was more than enough.
Yeah. Probably, Steve, Bob, here's the thing I have with big motors. I like them. I like big motors because big motors have so much power. When you put a little toothpick on them and try to spin it around, they don't even feel it. They don't draw any amperage out of the battery. And you can go with a very small ESC. You can run a 25 amp ESC on them. You can run much smaller batteries because they don't have to put all the power.
Yeah.
And everything runs very cold, very cool. Nothing gets hot. So
yeah, I found my badass like the one he has there. It's really cool running motor. Very cool.
Yeah, and probably your battery is not hot. Your ESC is not hot.
Yeah.
You're not using much power either. And everything is running relaxed.
Yep.
That's the point I have. Everything is running very relaxed. Nothing is stressed out. Nothing is stretched out. Nothing is getting hot. Nothing is just very relaxed system.
I guess what I was trying to say is you could get away with less motor if you wanted it in that airplane. It's not going to affect.
Yeah, I was figuring
That's
for
true,
balance, but
that is true. But
with the Fioretti system in it,
Mm-hmm.
if this has more torque, then the change in speed on the propeller should be easier when
yes,
that
absolutely.
system changes.
That makes good sense.
Yeah, you still want to go as light a prop as you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I'm thinking, that's the reason why we're going with lightest props is so that the motors can change the speed easier, quicker. So if you have more torque, more power.
What do you think if you could fit it in the airplane and everything? Sure,
Yeah, well,
mine was kind of small.
This one will definitely go in that airplane that Samantha was building for the World Championships that we didn't take.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis made the front end for that. It's basically a SV11 front end, but it will take it, and that's why it fits right in there. So
that's essentially a 6-cell motor. That's 710 kV.
Right.
710.
If they need one that was a 850 or 870, you could get away with a 5S system because that airplane's not going to be that heavy. You don't really need the 6S. You could get away with a 5S.
I think it's 5S is on 710. It's just fine. 710 times 5 times 3.7 is 13,000 RPMs. It's more than enough.
Yeah, but I think
for my work.
I've always found that the 5S's work pretty good on mid 800 range, and then the 4S's on about a 970 to 1,000 kV range.
Yeah. Even on the 4S, you have a theoretical of 10,500. But which means if you run a 6-inch prop at 9,000, might be close to the high end of the it's a big motor.
That extra voltage seems to really make something work better towards the end of the pattern. I like having that extra punch.
One of these days, I'm going to have to get y'all to one of you to sit and explain all this to me about how these electrical things
He
work.
knows more about it than I do. So
I tell you what,
I do
Trey
like
is pretty
that.
sharp. I tell you one thing: if you'll get on Trayan's website and listen to him fly his plane, that motor makes the most awesome sound.
I watched him flying at the Nationals.
It sounds just like a Fox, doesn't it?
No. I love the way it sounds. It sounds like it's whistling and humming at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's just a pretty sound. I don't know what it is. It just really sounds nice.
It does.
I kept catching myself at the contest every time. Trayan was over on one side of the field and letting people fly his airplane, and everybody else is over on this side of the field competing. And every time somebody would take his plane up and fly it, I noticed I'd be listening over, so I finally just walked over and listened to it. It's just got the most pleasant sound. And I don't know.
It's because the motor's it's because that motor's not working that hard.
I don't know what it is, but I'm going to tell you what, that plane, everything about that airplane impresses the heck out of me.
The motors I don't like the sound of are the axes. They got a whine in them that it just sounds annoying to me. The way they sound, they run. Of course, a lot of this has to also to do with the baffling in your airplane. The airplane itself makes noise too, and sometimes you'll get a whistle or you'll get something out of the airplane with the same motor that it wouldn't do it in another airplane.
Mine screams just before it hits the ground.
Motor or you?
The airplane.
Both.
You know, I happen to have the nose of the plane here, and I'm going to tell you why it whistles. It whistles because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to click on you just a second.
But you're getting plenty of air through there to cool everything, though.
Look at that.
Wow.
There's nothing obstructing the air going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to look from this end,
Wow.
it's nothing obstructing the air. And then on the back of the fuselage under the wing, I have some oval slots over there, one on each side. And I think because of the air is going through those oval slots, and it's going like that, makes that whistling sign.
That's an awful short fuselage in that airplane.
No, he's playing with you, Trey.
It only has to be long enough to balance. Ain't that right, Brian?
Well, the balance is very well as is. You know, I have no issues with the balance.
It's a great airplane.
Hey, Bob, I got you remind me of something I wanted to tell you. Thanks for showing me your air setup, the way you are exhausting all the hot air out the very back of the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I converted the Vanguard over to that system, but being that I had CAD to play with, instead of round circles, I got ovals.
That's cool. Yeah, if you have the air going right through the fuselage and you have a flat on the back, and the air rushes by it, it goes with the low pressure and sucks everything right out.
Yep.
And you know what? John? I think that's going to make your life a lot easier to fit the control system on the backside if it's wider over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it pretty wide as it is.
This is going to be V'd anyway because of the V-tail.
You can go like this, round and wide, and going to the V on the bottom where the elevator goes in.
I've actually got it tipping out a little bit this way, so that it's
Well, that's the same. That's the deal with the Vector, 40 size Vector. If you build it without like lightning holes back there where the elevator push rod, if you use a ball link, it rubs on the side of the fuselage. The fuselage in the back is not wide enough to get all that in there.
Yep.
I cut mine out.
Same thing I did with mine. You know, I had to put some oblong holes in both sides. So,
John, I have an idea for you.
Okay.
On a control system. And here's the idea. I'm not sure how you did it, but you probably did it somehow. It really doesn't matter. This is just the idea. So you have your wires. They go into the elevator, right? And they go up, and you have some kind of connection here on the top of them, right? Obviously.
Actually, I've got a single horn there that is and running it into lucky boxes.
But can you run it on horizontally over there?
Yeah. I've got the way I've got it set up is that
your elevator like this has a flat over there.
No. What I do, I've got it raised up enough to come in there and come straight across and go straight into the lucky box. The lucky box is at an angle, which means that I have to tilt up because there's a lot of geometry in the back end of that.
No, I understand that. Yeah. Because I thought you had them like this independent, right? So
no.
if you had them in the independent, you can just get away with it by putting a ball link on like this, and then put a ball link to the control line horn. To the horn, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This is the horn, right? Lines, whatever. Okay. On this other guy, you can put like a ball link over here.
Yeah.
And connect like that, so they are.
I did something like that on my Sheik's Stagger wing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came back. I went straight back to the elevator, and then halfway back, I put a ball link like that and a push rod coming back to operate the flap.
Why is this necessary? It's because you have an angle in the hinge line, or what?
I've got a V-tail.
Has a V-stab.
Oh, okay. Well, talk to Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
That shit don't work.
Oh, that's horrible stuff, man.
What did Dennis?
Wait a second. I kind of have.
He is the guru when it comes to VTOL airplanes.
I have a little bit of a VTOL too.
What is it? Is it cold there where you're at, Bob?
What's that?
Is it cold there where you're at?
Yeah, it's 40 degrees.
Oh, okay. Because I see you got a hat on. I didn't know if you had a cold or.
I got a hat on? Oh, yeah, I do. I just got to wear it in the winter.
I thought it was something to do with Pennsylvania. Your lieutenant governor has always got a damn Carhartt on and something around his neck when he's talking.
Our lieutenant governor and our governor are both morons.
But I thought, I'm like, what is it? Everybody wears hats and stuff there when it's cold.
I talked to Keith on the Lucky Boxes, Keith Drossel.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he had a plane that he had 40-degree V's on, and he ran Lucky Boxes on it. He said it worked very smoothly, and it didn't have a trouble at all with him. So, kind of.
What do they call a Lucky Box? Because you're lucky it works, or
actually Lucky Pyatt, who designed them.
Oh, wow.
In peace.
Interesting.
His name was Lucky then, huh?
Yep.
But that's why they're called Lucky Boxes.
Lucky your name wasn't Bernard or something like that,
Bernard Boxes?
Bernard Box.
Hey, I need some help with a plane I'm flying.
Lucky Pyatt. He was a super guy.
He was.
This chipmunk that I started flying, when I'm upright, it's easy it tracks easy, it just stays still pretty much. When I go inverted, I'm kind of busy to keep it level, and I'm trying to figure out what is the. I move the controls. I don't feel any binding, and I'm just trying to figure out where to look for the problem. Why am I so active when I'm inverted? And
it doesn't do it upright.
Say it again.
It doesn't hunt upright. It only hunts inverted.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think maybe you're more comfortable chasing it right side up, but you get inverted. Now you got the fact that you're upside down, you're close to the ground, and the plane is in. You're fighting, trying to keep up with the. I think it's probably hunting both directions. You're just better at making up for it right side up than you are inverted.
All upright than you are inverted.
Yeah.
Have you checked the thrust line of the motor to make sure you don't have any up thrust in it?
No, I haven't checked that. Okay.
Try a little down thrust in it. If it's
always add a little down thrust.
Yeah, in a glow engine, which turns the normal way, if you're having that problem, sometimes a little down thrust. Gialdini was the one that turned me onto that. We'll fix that. Conversely, if you're running a reverse pitch prop on electric, you got to put up thrust in.
Up thrust in it. Yep.
All right, thank you. I'll try that.
So here's my next question for you.
One other thing to check your decollage. Make sure the stabilizer and wing center line, you don't have any negative in the stabilizer. You don't want the nose of the stabilizer down at all. You'll never get it to trim that way.
Okay.
Now, if it is, there is a way to get it to trim without cutting it out. And I got this from Teddy Fancher. You tape a piece of monofilament, like 50-pound monofilament, about 20% back from the leading edge on the bottom of the stabilizer, both sides. And that'll fake it out and making it think it's not.
Okay.
If it gets worse, then put the monofilament on the top and try that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had an airplane that he flew at several nationals and team selections. Nobody realized he had that piece of stuff taped on there.
All right, cool.
So the question I have, what I noticed is sometimes the planes hunt because of turbulence, and that combined with a lack of line tension. Because if you don't have enough line tension to pull the lines tight, then the controls kind of do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, so that's the bad wall.
Yeah. So the question I have is like, is it tight on the line on inside loops and loose on the outside?
No, it's pretty good on inverted. It's not really getting loose. It's the motor's actually running a little bit faster inverted. So I have plenty of line tension. I just noticed that I'm a little bit more active when I'm inverted, and just this plane.
Here's something else to look out for. Two more things for this tracking. One, is make sure, we were talking before about control systems, that you don't have, you can center the flaps when the elevators are centered. Make sure, virtually every airplane I look at, people ask me to check them out. The elevator is either up or down in relation to the flap when it's at neutral. Make sure that's perfect to start out with.
Okay.
Sometimes, if it is, drooping the elevator slightly, it's like putting a Band-Aid on, but sometimes drooping the elevator slightly will help too.
That's like putting a form of down thrust in it is what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you have this piece of 50
You got
the hinge lines taped up, Charles?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. Because we had one airplane that made all the difference in the world, was taping up the elevator.
Where exactly is this 50-pound fishing line?
I'm going to make a confession here, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I should have known this, but my mind was not right at the Nationals this year. I was having problems. I could not get a handle setting. The airplane was either, I had to hold upright to keep it upright, and I had to hold down inverted to keep it level, you know. Right. And I couldn't figure it out. I was just so tired from the pain I had in my arm. I didn't figure it out until I got home. What was it, guys? You should all know this. I couldn't.
It was nose heavy.
I had to hold. It was nose heavy.
Yeah.
So sometimes we think that adding nose weight makes these things track better when actually it's already too nose heavy. So backing off of the nose weight sometimes corrects the problem.
Yep.
You remember back? Do you remember back in the 50s?
Because I've got one that hunts. Where did Ted put this fishing line on the stab?
About 20% back from the leading edge on the bottom.
Okay.
And
it's kind of like a turbulator then, right? You're adding a turbulator on one side.
And he fixed the problem. And Buddy Weeder had an airplane that had a problem. And I said, let's give it a try. And it fixed the problem.
That's 50-pound fishing wire? I mean,
50-pound test fishing line.
Remember back in the day, Bob, that the adage going around with us kids was, the plane got flying better and better and better the more we flew it.
Yeah.
and it's got more play instead.
Well, yeah, it's because we're wearing out the hole on the elevator horn, and we're getting more slop in there.
And you know what? But yeah, that worked to a degree. But you know why it worked? Because we were building inaccurate airplanes to begin with. If you build an accurate airplane, you don't have to have any slop in the elevator.
Absolutely right. You know, the planes I build now, I mean, they're locked in solid. Everything's lined up, and and I work at getting everything lined up and tight before I ever take it out. And it's amazing how many problems that I've gotten rid of by doing it that way.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. If you want to hear a funny story.
No.
Nah.
Nah, we don't like humor.
This was at VSC back in either the early 2000s or the late 1990s, probably the early 2000s. Jerry Phelps, everybody knows Jerry, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Best builders of the planet, flies the other way. He came to VSC with a brand new, untested Tucker Special. And the thing was like, you know, a 20-point airplane. It was gorgeous. But the airplane wouldn't fly at all. He just couldn't. It turned unequally and didn't lock. It did everything wrong. He came back. We were in the motel room right next to him, Mary and Jerry, and Billy and I. And he walked in and said, I'm just going to spectate this week. I said, I can't get this piece of crap to fly, you know. And I said, can I look at it? He said, you could have it. You know?
Wow.
I don't want it, but let me take a look at it. The first thing I looked at was the elevator flap neutraling. And he had about 3 or 4 degrees of down elevator when the flaps were neutral. And he didn't have any way to adjust it. But he had 3 32nd-inch horns in it. Dennis,
oh, no.
Going with this, I'm sure. So I told him, I said, you know, you really don't care about this airplane. Do anything you want. I said, well, you're going to leave the room while I do this. And Mary, take him out of the room. I don't want him to see this. So I had Billy hold the flap horn, you know, with a couple pieces of plywood to keep it from moving. And I took the elevators and I bent them against the push rod until I got the elevators neutral to the flaps. And I handed it back to him and I said, now take this out and try it. This is God's honest truth. He came back to the room about an hour later. He says, "I'm going to kick both your asses." He said, "This is the best airplane I ever had in my life."
Wow.
That one little thing fixed that airplane.
Wow.
That's something I've heard. Tucker specials are notoriously one-to-one.
Pitch trimming. Make sure those elevators and flaps, they're dead neutral to each other. They're not both down. They're not both up. They're both neutral. One's not up to the like this. They got to be dead nuts perfect before you start out. You may want to adjust them to a degree after the fact, but you want to start out with them dead nuts.
That's what I always heard.
I mean, that's a problem for people. How do you make sure that's the case?
That's so easy to do when you're setting it up. You turn around, you take a piece of balsa or something, put it over the top of the wing, the bottom of the wing. You put rubber bands front and back. Make sure the flap is neutral, and then you set up your elevator so it's neutral. It's really easy.
Let me.
Sometimes you have a fillet next to the flap, and that's in the wrong spot, and you
live with it,
and then you're thinking it's right, but it's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, live with it.
We have these bowlings right now that are so nice and work so well, and they have those inserts on the back of on the end of the push rods. They have a right hand thread and a left hand side thread, and it's so easy to adjust. Get in the ballpark, get it right, to assemble it, and you fine tune it.
And here's a tip:
have yourself a little visiting window over there, so you can reach out some pliers or whatever. You just rotate a little bit, and you're done.
And here's a tip: always put I use a slot. I don't use I don't try to make a hatch. I say if you can't hide it, scream it. So I put a little slot for the adjustment of the horn on the inboard side. You know, where the push rod attaches to the horn up and down. On the inboard side, I always put the adjuster for the neutraling or moving the elevator versus the flap on the outboard side. And you know why? Because when you put the little 1/4-inch wrench in there and you lift up on it, the elevator is going to go up. And you pull down on it, the elevator is going to go down. It's very literal. You don't have to think backwards. Which way do I move this thing? If you want the elevator to go up, put the wrench in, raise it, and the elevator will come up.
Yeah.
No wonder your name's on that dang trophy.
I mean that.
So, I don't know. I like the bending the horns method better. That sounds like Real Man would do that. So.
I mean, quite literally, when you're initially setting it up, here's your flap. You take two pieces of wood like this, and you just snap it on. Sit it up on there. That's going to hold your flap in a neutral position according to the wing. Yep. And then as you're installing your stab in the back, you can move it forward. You can move it backwards a little bit until that's absolutely. You do the same thing. You do basically the same thing on the elevator, the stabilizer, and you move it forward and backwards until your push rod's exactly at the right length, and that's your base starting point. I mean, that's
all right. Good. I follow you. I'm watching you now, Bob Hunt. Go ahead.
That's the slot to adjust the push rod length on the outboard side of the airplane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Conversely, on the inboard side of the airplane, you have the slot to adjust the elevator versus flap movement.
You must have a really skinny wrench.
Neutraling. That's the. You can actually see. I think if you look in there close, you can probably see.
Yeah, you can see it.
I always see it.
Yeah. See it move.
Yeah, I see it.
You got a skinny little wrench, Bob.
Yeah, I do. A little K&S wrench. It works great.
Yeah, K&S. I made the mistake of stopping at a Snap-on truck. I won't do that again. Charles?
Yeah.
Another thing of when you're setting up a new airplane, if you're not putting adjustable controls in it, just consider you're not putting adjustable controls in it. You're just building it one-to-one, like something you'd use for a trainer or something.
Right.
Just clamp them like Pete's saying. Clamp your flaps in neutral. Get your elevator and clamp the elevator and stab together in neutral.
Okay.
Then slide it forward and backwards in the fuselage until it fits exactly. Better to give up 1/8 of an inch of the difference between flap line and hinge line, than to have that darn thing canted a little bit one way or the other.
Right.
You're never going to notice an eighth of an inch loss or gain in the moment, but you are going to definitely notice if that thing's canted one way or the other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Better than just put an adjustable control system in it.
Oh yeah, you put
Well,
it
it is.
controls anyway, but at least
Okay.
Clamping them gives you a starting point, gives you a fairly a good idea that your 0-0 is going to be accurate, from the get-go.
Yeah. That's how I do it too, except I use a little clamp. I put the two pieces of wood and clamp it.
Yeah. When you do yours, Bob, on your push rods, do you have where the push rod goes into the ball link? Do you use a nut there, so you back the nut off and then move the push rod and then?
No, I just use the reverse turnbuckle. They make a left-hand insert.
Yeah, I use those.
And it has a 1/4 inch hex on it, so you go in there and just move that. And if you move it, it moves the push rod, lengthens.
Right. But you're not using jam nuts. That's what I was getting.
No, you don't have to, especially with electric. There's no vibration.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna move. It ain't gonna move.
Forgot about that.
And you have those two. When you screw those inserts, those threaded inserts that go in the push rod, when you screw those into the ball links, they're in there pretty stiff. And if you have two of them, it ain't gonna move.
Yeah, that's right.
I forgot about that. In electric, it's not near the problem.
There's no vibration whatsoever.
I don't think
I did
finally
finally on the new one.
those.
Okay, Bob, one more time, then. Do you put the right hand thread at the back of the airplane or at the front? Does it matter?
What's that?
Set up your turnbuckle arrangement. You're up with the wrench and everything like that. Do you put the right hand thread at the front of the push rod or at the back?
I put the normal thread at the front, and I put the reverse thread at the back.
Okay, so the normal thread's in front, the reverse in back. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I do that is the reverse thread one is the only one that has a hex on it.
Mm-hmm.
The normal threaded ones don't have a hex on them.
That's right. I hadn't thought about that. You're right.
And that's where the slot is at the rear, so you can adjust it.
Well, the slider is a different thing. I'm talking about the lengthening or shortening of the push rod.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question. Do you really need one on both ends? That you're not adjusting it that much to where if you need a half a turn or whatever, that you really don't even need that.
Well, you need the one in the front to just go into the ball length that goes to the platform. I mean, you have to have something to connect it to the ball link.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you'd have to take the darn thing apart to get a half turn.
Yeah.
The other ain't going to turn.
It's just a convenient way to hook it up to the ball link to put it in. Now, here's another thought. How many people have ever given a thought to adjusting the length of the push rod from the bell crank to the flap horn? And why?
I do have that.
You have that. Well, you have that because you're very adjustable. Well, most people don't have that. And it's funny that when you talk about airplanes hunting or turning equal or non-equal, it may be that the bell crank is not aerodynamically centered.
Right.
The flaps are centered. Now, Dennis used to use those self-centering bell cranks. Den.
Yeah.
Did that seem to solve that problem completely?
Well, that was over time. I used that bell crank for a long time, and it was never adjustable. But over time, by the time I built the Eclipse, I had everything. I had literally every single push rod was adjustable, so I could adjust. I could adjust the length on the flap. Bell crank to flap. I could adjust it on the bell crank to the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And I could adjust the throws on every control surface, each flap and each elevator individually.
Mm.
And basically, what it all amounted to is that there was just a shit ton of adjustments in it, and it's
that airplane still.
Somewhere along the line, you got to just start flying the airplane.
And that airplane, with all those adjustments, that airplane still flew as bad as it did.
Yeah. That's it.
In all fairness, Dennis, I flew that airplane. Where was that, Dennis? That I flew that thing? Was that at? It was at Dayton, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Dayton. It was one of the team trials, I think.
I was in the team trials. I flew that airplane. I flew the Arc right there too. And I got to tell everybody that was one of the finest flying model airplanes I've ever flown in my life.
So it wasn't the airplane; it was the pilot.
And Dennis was one of the best pilots because he was the only guy back then that was flying tight patterns like they're doing today. He was the only guy flying tight patterns back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great airplane, but I lost anyway, so it must have been some pilot issue there, huh? So.
Oh me.
Yeah, well, doo-doo happens.
As I recall,
I appreciate the comment, Bob.
I saw your name on that Walker trophy, though.
Yeah, I seem to remember it's on there.
Yeah, I seem to remember it's on there. So you must have been a pretty good pilot.
Yeah, I suppose I had my moments.
You beat that Sea Barrel.
Well, actually, I'm pretty proud of that, but not because he was I don't know. I'm going to go into a terrible place if I get into that. I consider the Sea Fury to be the most impressive stunt plane I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Me too.
And it cornered like a bowling ball.
Yeah, it was just so unexpected. It was totally different than anything. And
the pickle barrel.
And it performed well.
Yeah.
It
because of the 5-to-1 rule.
I just don't. Yeah, I think it was 5-to-1 and everything. But I mean, he could take the Tiger 60 with the muffler and the motor mount, firewall motor mount. He could install the whole thing through the front of the cowl.
Yeah.
It didn't have a cowl on it. He'd installed it through the nose. All right.
Yeah.
In one unit. So that's big. All right.
That was big. And that airplane, he did great bottoms because some part of that airplane was always at 5 feet.
It's exactly right.
B-17 inverted, that tail was just barely above the ground.
Well, it's funny.
You ever hear Billy?
I was watching Yashchenko. I think it was I think it was a classic, not the Shark. And that's one of the things that occurred to me. The presentation of the airplane, great big fuselage, a great big tail, great big landing gear with big wheel pants under it and everything like that. The airplane, it looks like it's 1.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Top of the fin, the bottom of the wheels. And then you take a look at everything else that we're doing, like we're making these slivers that look like they ought to present real well and everything like that. But it's just a head scratch, because the airplane I was watching. He was flying it well enough and everything like that. But I thought it looked better than it really was.
Did you ever get a chance to fly out of any of Al's airplanes?
I never did.
I did.
I know. I had a chance, honest to God, while we were waiting for the Walker scores to post. He offered me a chance to fly the Sea Fury, and I chickened out.
Yeah, I flew easy too.
And I regret that I still regret that. I'll get my hands on that just once. So.
I flew the Easy 2 Sugar Mustang.
Yeah.
At 74 at the Lake Charles Nationals. And he asked me how I liked it. I said, it flies like a really good ringmaster. I don't think he was happy with it.
No, I would have been happy with that.
But what I meant was it did really, really nice rounds. I mean, really precision rounds. You couldn't miss a round. Of course, you couldn't do a square, but you could do perfect rounds, But he could get it to corner. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a funny thing. He did. Didn't he have stops on the controls?
Yeah.
So I'm
on the controls. He had stops on the wheels, so they would, had that little shock absorbing landing gear thing, and he used to routinely put the outboard wheel on the ground, and you could see the actual wheel go up into the shock absorber. He would roll the wheel on the ground at the bottom of the triangle, not on purpose, but it happened a lot.
You got that low?
Yeah, he would actually roll the outboard wheel. He did it at the World Championships. in a practice flight. He actually rolled the outboard wheel on the ground at the bottom of the triangle. And he didn't even phase him. He didn't even phase him. He's got some nerves. Well, let me tell you.
Wow. He's a full-scale pilot. He had to have some nerves.
Is there a cool way to put brakes on the wheels?
Is there a way to put brakes on the wheel? I don't know. Imagine.
Tighten up the wheel collar on the wheel.
Actually, there was an airplane with brakes. It was Dave Gerke's All-American Eagle had wheel brakes.
Sure did.
Plummer had them on one of his T-Birds. They had a meet where you got extra points at the end of the flight if you could land the closest to that line. And he put a little tied to his downline little shoe that would put pressure on the nose wheel. He wound up parking it on the line.
Wow.
Well, you know, it's really funny. I got a totally different, somebody with a totally different point of view that talked about that. Bob McDonald's and Roland, he was at the Nationals when they did that. And Roland was one of those guys, you know, you talk about guys, the best pilot that never win a Nationals and stuff like that. Well, Roland had several top 5 finishes there in the mid to late 50s and stuff like that. And he lost to Bob Palmer with the brakes on the T-Bird on the spot landing. He lost to him by something like 2 points because nobody knew there was a spot landing until they got to the Nationals, except Palmer knew that there was a spot landing when he got to the Nationals. All right? So, I don't know. Now, that was, to be sure, that's the way Roland told the story and everything like that, but he was pretty pissed off about that whole thing.
Wonder why.
The Geese All-American Eagle,
Gerke.
That couldn't have Gerke's All-American Eagle. I don't think he flew that at the Nationals.
He flew
if I remember correctly.
It was an FAI airplane. He designed it for a team selection.
Because Tom, he showed up. The story I heard, he showed up at the Nats and he had his Novi 4, I think, and he had the All-American Eagle as a backup. He decided he's going to figure out which one to fly when he got there, and he wound up flying the Novi. His wife went out and spent a whole lot of money. In fact, spent so much money he didn't have enough money to get home on. And sold that All-American Eagle. Tom Lay picked it up.
He doesn't have that problem anymore, I can tell you that. I went to his house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. But Tom Lay had the original All-American Eagle. In fact, when Gordon and I took our All-American Eagles to VSC back 10, 15 years ago, Tom Lay brought the original one with him. It was a shame. It was all in tatters, but it was there. You get,
I remember that year you had that there. You had that there. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we were talking before about the 63 Nationals, or the 67 Nationals, 63 Nationals. Who was third? I think it was Gerke with the Novi 3.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Novi's a pretty good airplane.
Got a heck of a memory.
Yeah, he does.
You got one heck of a memory.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me cut the stream. I'm gonna just close the stream. We can still have the after party. I know Bob, you don't want to stay up too late anyway, so but I'm glad that you should stay for the whole show that's being streamed. So we had like let me see here. I think we had 21 about 21 concurrent viewers. We have 20 likes. I'm really excited about that. And then we had a pretty good chat box. We had Jack Snavely, Craig Biswick. We had a new person, Adolfo Guardia, and another new person. What was his name? Motaz Hayek. And I appreciate that. And Montana Farmer showed up again. And so I appreciate that. We had a really good show. I think we had some great dialogue, great conversation. I got some answers to some problems and challenges I have. Really good show. So what I want to encourage everybody to do is to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help build this platform. And I appreciate you guys coming tonight. And we'll be back again Friday at 6:45 p.m. So if you want to come in on the live stream, that's when I try to post the link. It's at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That way you can get into the chat if you don't want to come into Stunt Hangar. That way you're part of the live program. You can participate with questions and comments. But anyways, thanks for showing up. And we're going to continue the after party, and that's what you're going to miss out on. But we'll continue to chat, and we will see you next time. So be safe.